Hi, I'm Emily Mallard of Emily's Papercrafts. Thank you so much for joining me today as we end our 5-episode series on creating your own nativity set. Today we are creating baby Jesus, the most important figure in our nativity set. Let's get started. To create our baby Jesus, we're going to use a lot of the same techniques that we've used before for making the sheep and the other figurines. This time though, he's a lot smaller, so that kind of adds some challenges in and of itself. So I'm using one of the parchment white papers that I used for hands for some of the other figurines. That is roughly 12 inches long, and I'm going to be using this for basically the swaddling cloths or the strips of paper, or strips of paper. Baby Jesus probably was not wrapped in strips of paper, but the strips of cloth that baby Jesus was wrapped in. And I'm going to be creating 2 halves. So these are each roughly 12 inches long. However, feel free to adjust because this is basically the baby's body. So if you're like, wow, that's a big enough baby body, then stop and be happy with the size that you've got. I'm actually leaning towards going, yeah, this is probably about as big as I want, so let's just see. That was only 5 inches. I'm gonna go, I'll go up to 6. So look at your paper, decide how big, how fat, how well-rounded you want your baby Jesus to be, and then stop there. I would not do much more than about 12 inches because he's going to have to fit in the little teeny tiny manger, which we will also be making. So then once you've reached the length that you like, just go ahead and finish off that tight circle and then gently pull it off. I'm actually kind of liking the shape that this is in. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get a nice sort of neck or feet, wrapped up feet look. However, once I start fiddling with it, then it's like, oh, gotta keep fiddling. Okay, I'm liking it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put glue on the inside because that always seems to take a lot longer to dry than I would like to think it does. Okay, so there's half, and basically baby Jesus. So I'm going to take the other half of that 6 inches to use for the bottom half of the baby's body. Making sure it's still sliding nicely so I can get it off of the tool. Okay, so then this one, I think I'm going to have be for his little legs. So this one I might want to be a little bit more pointed than the other one was. So one way of lengthening it is to push on the inside of the coils with the corsage pin, just to help start it to elongate a little bit. And then like with Mary and the angel, we're going to be very careful as we pull it because, as you probably learned, it can slide off super easily. And being we're using 1/8 inch wide paper rather than the 1/4 to 1/2 inch that we used for the adults, this one is much more prone to slipping off. So once you're kind of satisfied with it, stop, because that is your happy spot. Okay, then we're going to end up gluing the 2 halves of baby Jesus just by gluing the 2 halves literally right on top of each other. This is one time where I try to line up my seams. Let's see, where's my other seam? There it is. Nope. Did such a good job gluing it that I can't find it now. Alright. So then we're just going to work on getting them to more or less. Don't worry about if it's not 100% even. Remember, it's supposed to kind of look like a little baby. I realize right now it probably looks more like a little cocoon. Whoop. But remember, we're wrapping Jesus up in his, basically his baby blanket, to put him asleep in the hay. Alright, so there we go. There's our little baby Jesus. The next thing to do is his head, so I'm using a parchment pink, which in my mind actually looks a lot more almost pinky, sort of brown. So this is going to be his face. So once you're like, okay, it's kind of matching the right size. This one I started off with 12 inches. I think I'm going to go ahead and just do the full 12 inches. I was trying to decide if I wanted it to be a little bit smaller, but then babies' heads are always bigger or out of proportion for the rest of their bodies in terms of size. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it. There it is. I'm going to add just a little bit of curve to it just to help give his face a little bit of character, I guess. What's the right word? Interest. Doesn't look like he's got a flat face. Okay, so put some glue there on the bowl side, and we're going to let it sit and dry while we create the manger. So if you joined me last time when we made the stable, you probably have some leftover scrap pieces of brown. These are 1 inch long by 3/4 of an inch tall. And then I've cut a slit through almost the full length. You need to go at least halfway. And then we're going to put those 2 slits, we're going to line them up so they'll just go right over each other on the ends. There we go. And then you have, whoop, if they'll cooperate here, basically an X. So we're going to put glue on some of these sides just to help hold it shut or open, depending on how you want to look at it. You can decide if you want a really tall manger or if you want more of a squat manger. I'm going to go for more of the squat manger. I'm just going to liberally put glue right there where all those creases and folds and cuts meet, because in a second I'm going to put paper hay all over them. So then just taking some scraps of various yellows, and these are truly scraps because they've been wadded up and scrunched over the past several years in my various bags of paper. And then we're just going to lay them on there however they want to fall. I'm cutting them in half. So I'm going to cut one end. I should probably cut the other end, huh? So it looks. And we're just going to fill this manger. Make sure you go from time to time just to help push that straw down so it catches some of the glue somewhere. I'm using 3 different shades of yellows today, but again, you can use whatever you've got in your stash. And these are just leftover scraps from different projects. So some are brighter yellows, some are a little bit more dull and straw-like in my mind. Then just lay them all in there. So I'm trying to kind of hide some of the glue that I used to create or guarantee that my manger isn't going to collapse again. I'm just going to make a few more just to help make it look like a nice soft bed of hay for baby Jesus. There is no right or wrong amount of hay. You could even just use the full 1/8 of an inch wide paper rather than cutting it down, or you can cut it down even further to make it look even skinnier. Then it's time for some more glue, so I'm very carefully, because I know not all of my pieces of paper are glued down in multiple places. And that some of them are probably still trying to dry. There is no right or wrong about how much or how you want to put your straw here in the manger. I don't know that this one's connected to some glue. Oh, yep, it is. Because it's resisting me. If you want, you can even put some glue on some of the straw if you're trying to tuck it underneath. So that way it's got something that will potentially, hopefully, connect with. Feeling like this end of it here is looking a little bit empty. And try to slide. Piece in as far down as I possibly can. And I kind of want it to stick to the side. Okay. I'm gonna let my straw dry. I can always add more later. But now I'm gonna go back to baby Jesus and glue on his head. So choose which end of your little swaddling cloths you want his head to be attached to. And I'm gonna try to hide my seams, so I'm gonna make that the back side. I have no idea if baby Jesus had hair or not. I'm not gonna worry about adding hair. If you're like, no, baby Jesus would have come out with hair, add some hair. Get a little piece of brown or black to add to the back side of baby Jesus's head, or just around the crown of his head. And then once our straw tacks and dries just a little bit more, I might even try squishing it down, because baby Jesus here is going to squish it down for me anyway in a second. Okay, while the head is drying on, I'm going to be bold and courageous, which I may regret, but I'm going to attempt to paint on some little teeny tiny eyes. I'm going to pull out some brown and red paint from the last few times. Okay, he's not supposed to have brown eyes tonight. On the night he was born, I guess he had black eyes, but usually babies' eyes are so dark anyway when they're born, you can't really tell what color they're going to be. Come here. Some little teeny tiny eyes. And then some red for a little teeny tiny mouth. Just a little teeny tiny bit of a little mouth. There we go. Voila. Baby Jesus is smiling. Happy on his birthday. Okay, so now I gotta wait for the face to dry before I can consider putting him in his little manger. So it looks like that glue is drying nicely, so perfect. I'm still wishing I had one that would stick out just a little bit right there. Let's see. I wonder if where I put glue. Nope, it's no longer attached. Perfect. Yay. All right. It is up to you to decide whether or not you want to glue in your baby Jesus into the manger. I would recommend it just so you don't lose him because he is so little. Or you can just leave him loose. And then just know that you're going to have to keep an eye on baby Jesus because like all babies, he is probably going to get curious or roll around in his sleep. But again, up to you. It's your little nativity set. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue him into his manger here. Just so I know that he is going to stay put just like he should. So thank you so much for joining me on this series of creating your own nativity set. I would like to end with reading Romans 15 verse 13. May the God of all hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Merry Christmas, and I look forward to seeing you for my next episode.